Had a pretty stellar stage. Yes, we haven't seen such a, showing from hot and cold this stage, but there's been a lot of mix-up, given the fact that they do have Yeti in, and he has been performing so highly, especially with his entry stat, plus 11 at this current moment. 1.18 overall for his rating. I do believe that places him at, yes, indeed, the 4th player currently in the NAL. So pretty exciting stuff.
There's that Ying ban, so we did get that. XSET more than likely going to be in a bit of a safer pasture as a result of that. The Buck ban to accompany it from SSG. The second XSET ban coming out now as we started Defender bans, of course, and Mira is going to be eliminated there. So we're going according to plans so far. We've been seeing quite a few Buck bans ever since the changes came in. Of course, has been increasing quite a bit there from previously never being banned out. So
you ever been harassed through a floor before? It only takes you one time.
Personally, no. But
yeah, usually I only have to worry.
Usually it's through a Discord call.
Yeah, I was going to say, usually I only have to worry about my enemies harassing me on one axis, so usually okay with that. So we're going to finish out the bans here, and, it's bank, so these are going to be making quite a bit of sense. The Ying obviously being the big highlight here, the one that we wanted to see banned out. So the Azami following through as well as the Mira, but as we all know, that's mostly for things like this basement setup that we're going to be going for, as well as open area somewhere along the lines. That'll make it a little bit more difficult for SSG to hold on to that. And speaking of holding things, it looks like SSG might want to extend things out just a little bit. We're going to have hot and cold on the castle barricade, so let's see how SSG wants to go about this.
Away from that, not going to see any huge surprises showing up here to the SSG defense. Warden has continued to increase in his own pick rate as well here over these past few weeks. Teams have been finding more and more use out of him, especially with the kind of dissipation of the nade meta to an extent. We're seeing more flashes come into play, a lot more smokes as well, and that's obviously increased the effectiveness potentially you could get out of Warden, since they're going to be relying on that utility, the attackers, that is, of course. That Warden can directly counter out quite a bit more, so we'll start to see him more and more, especially on these sites where you can kind of bunker in, just kind of hold yourself into a corner like we see inside of Oregon basement as well. Yesterday we were seeing a lot of Warden play there, so it makes perfect sense that we get pretty much the same thing on the basement of this map.
Yeah, if you're going to be in an area that's going to take a lot of heat from the offense, Warden is usually your guy, especially if you can back it up with something like a deployable shield, some ADSs, or just give him some semblance of recovery from his teammates. The ability for them to help him or bail him out of a situation is fantastic news for Warden, just based off of how you want to play him with that utility. So, speaking of utility, XSET will begin clearing out this top floor. They've got some other characters around, one inside of ATM at the current moment. It doesn't look like the Habana of DS wants to move too far forward yet. He's going to get held in place here for just a moment from the EE1D. He's been found out by DS. Although, unbeknownst to him, looks like he's got multiple targets all around. Frag grenade ready, and what the hell just happened here? Oh, XSET, this is not the way we should have started my morning or yours. It's going to be a 3K right out the gate from SSG. They wiped the floor of bank with XSET.
Very confusing in terms of what turns out from XSET rather right there. As you see,
not confusing from SSG.
Yeah, no, SSG plays that. Lethal. SSG plays that perfectly, but for XSET, obviously a pretty huge blunder showing up for them. Seemed like they had perfect ping onto the player from SSG creeping around there and would have been able to execute them, but apparently not. The hop over, even with the nade in hand, is a little weird too. It's kind of wondering like what the lead up was supposed to be.
The breakdown in communication there was very apparent from XSET. That should not have happened. But either way, they still have an opportunity here and plenty of time in order to try and accomplish this. The bad news is that SSG still have so many bodies just walking around the map, like Rampy here in open areas. Spirits isn't going to be able to do too much about this. He can eventually beat the door down, but obviously that's a call sign to Rampy. Anything that happens there more than likely takes that fight, but instead he's just going to back off and go back downstairs. They have such a harsh man advantage that if there's any mistake made by any XSET member, they basically automatically win the round, which is exactly why we see their positioning here in the last minute. Keno's going to get boxed out of server, smoke grenades, and he has some smokes of his own, but I doubt that really helps him in a situation like this.
Unfortunately, XSET have actually lost map control from the 2v4 that this started out at, unfortunately, and Bosco with a dirty little peek there finishes off very quickly. Solid first round coming up onto the board from SSG. Obviously a bit of a blunder from XSET. I don't want to judge them too harshly just yet here. We'll have to wait and see what future rounds bring out, but it seems like that play unfortunately sealed the deal for this round before it ever really got started.
Yeah. I think the craziest thing is that Yeti isn't even going to know how dire that situation was for him until he goes back and watches this VOD.
Oh, yeah.
He probably didn't even know that drone was there.
He should have been dead, absolutely.
Yeah. He was like, I don't know why you're jumping over this balcony. This is so weird. Pretty funny stuff, but I mean, past that, XSET, we're really looking at this round to see how they're going to handle their offenses here on Bank, because they had everything they could have possibly have wanted to deal with the situation in lobby. It was just a critical blunder, and SSG take full advantage of the situation. They're going to send us upstairs, defend CEO, see if they can get another successful defense here, start stringing these along.
No reason to delay as far as SSG is concerned, and indeed they'll move into that secondary hold. Interesting on the attacker repick side of things from XSET, specifically looking at Kino there, as the Cali is potentially going to be swapped out. That will leave only a single hard breach operator in play over on Diaz, but very curious to see what they can use for this Cali. We've obviously seen her snuck in from time to time when you do have trouble accessing utility on the other side.
It's mostly been Canadian on Clubhouse, and for some reason, Master Balcony. And it's worked a little bit. He's gotten some kills with it, but past that, we haven't seen it all that much.
We're likely going to be positioned pretty heavily on the rappel side of things for this site, I would generally imagine, but we'll wait and see how exactly that's going to line up, as he's actually, exactly where we expected him to be, on the rappel, keeping Overwatch towards square at the moment. So aside from that, you can see members of SSG just kind of casually maintaining their own extended positions, as there's been very little pressure from XSET on the inside of the building, just as of yet. That's going to start to change here, though, over the next few minutes, as we can, of course, see them beginning their conquest from the ATM entrance.
Still plenty of time here for XSET. It's mostly dedicated to setting up info and trying to get some crosses set up. Obviously, we're going to have Kino constantly dedicated to the square side. He's trying to just manage the janitor door there. A frag grenade goes out. Rampy gets extremely lucky with that shrapnel. It does so little damage to him, surprisingly enough. Yaga going to be able to land one onto hot and cold, though, and that's going to be one set of nades gone. Gomez still having two in his pocket. XSET doing their best to try and get these big picks early on here into the round with these frag grenades, working out the situation without even having to take a gunfight.
Little bits of chip damage showing up on almost every single remaining member of SSG. Bosco, the only one that hasn't succumbed to that as of yet here. So he's probably going to be the more adventurous member remaining on this squad. And you can see the other three have really peeled back. Rampy on the inner banana at the moment here. The other two holding out over by Stock Hallway, not really wanting to contend against this repelled angle. So XSET's early build-up here has worked quite proficiently. And you can see once again there, Rampy trying to get aggressive, takes a little bit of heat. Unfortunately, Rampy himself not able to return a whole lot of it. Gomez just taking a single bullet worth of damage, dropping him to about 90.
This has been a full rappel round from XSET, attempting to punish all the mistakes that SSG make. So many long angles for them to manage, and very minimal guns capable of taking those long-distance gunfights in a extremely successful manner. It's always going to be a risk whenever you peek out from some of these defensive standpoints. Yaga,
nice.
Oh my, what a shot onto Yeti. Bosco will finally fight back, though. He's going to assist Rampy in taking down the player here on Banana. Some nice shots onto Spirits, but it won't land in the way that he wants it to, is he got so much to do now. It's a 1 versus 4. The Alda can't get it done, and Spirits will pistol whip him. XSET get their first round on the top floor.
Indeed. So it appears as though the very first round, of course, definitely looking like a little bit of a fluke from XSET. Definitely not wanting to judge them too harshly for that, as misplays do tend to happen. They recover beautifully here on round 2 and absolutely shut down the SSG defense. Never even really give it a chance to shine ultimately, because the angles from Rappel are so harsh and so consistent across the entirety of the site. Any move that SSG was going to make would have been immediately countered out, as we saw from that one peak, I think it was from Fultz, where he lost about half of his HP from it. So SSG had no choice, had to back up, had to pay massive respect, and that let XSET execute in the beautiful way we saw in those final few seconds.
Until Yaga enters the building, there is 4 people playing the rappel on the north side of this map, which is just such a harsh thing for SSG on a defensive setup like that. They have a decent amount of angles that are playing out towards CEO, obviously, as well, to try and shut down any window swings or anything of the sort. So it just makes it a lot easier for XSET, even past that, to set some things up. And they obviously are still bringing soft destruction, you know, at range, like Zofia and stuff like that. So you even have to worry about them creating their own angles or breaking open some castle barricades that could be key to your positioning. So always a worry when you are playing this top floor. But SSG will be playing the top floor again, just not for the bomb site. Rampy's going to be dedicating some castles up here, and that's all because it's going to be open area, John. There is a lot of importance on this top floor when it comes to this site setup. Look at the entire floor of Ticket there. It's entirely wood. You can break all of of that up, stare right down into open area. Also, there's some other angles you can create here inside of, like, you know, paper where Fultz is currently to try and deal with the small office. But obviously what SSG's plan is to slowly work their way back to site off of this top floor, mitigating the time that XSET have, as well as trying to soak up some of the utility.
Just one final anecdote on the previous round. That's actually a really great example as well as to why a lot of teams are actually avoiding the upstairs site entirely now, is because executes like that are so hard to counter. So XSET beautifully done there. May make SSG think twice about going back to their second floor hold throughout the rest of this half.
Yeah, you have to ask for so much there. Really, you're asking for some influence, whether it be some pickup from like a random window peek that you get from the defense, or somehow making it to lobby alive against the professional team, which should never, ever happen.
So we'll see that slow build up on Repel again from XSET. This time, though, yep, it's Rampy to strike first from SSG. Another one from Fultz as well, and Rampy's still in a bit of a hot position here. Could frag out again if the Repel players from XSET want to try to challenge him. Not just Repel either, but of course Kino here having the soft breach going into the upstairs site. He's going to be trying to play that angle as well, but this is going to be dangerous. The more he creeps forward, the more he steps into the Lion's Den. Yaga does have the counter for the down on Kino, but still a 1-to-1 trade when you were already down to 3v5 is not going to get you much back in this round, as XSET once again are staring down the barrel of a 2v4, just like round one.
This is something that we've always noted about XSET, their ability to mess with the pacing. They're very fluid about getting into buildings and taking, gunfights, but hasn't worked out inside of this round. XSET quickly dispatched on their first two entries. Luckily enough, they have a Yaga, and he's got some nice shots, so he'll take down Fultz, but that's going to be very minimal wear to SSG. They've got very much utility still to their name, and XSET going to have to try and cut through all of that to the bottom floor here. A drop in, and they'll be able to take out Rampy, deal some serious damage though, and they know that both of these members are in the area. As long as they play their crosses proper, Diaz should not be able to get out of this. Working his way in from the back cubicle, he'll take out one. Has to worry about the top floor presence though. Does still have stun grenades as well. So many ways that he can manage this. Hot ping, hot and cold will be hot in this situation. He'll take him down, and SSG get away with another round.
Another round, unfortunately, where XSET dropped their possibility to realistically win that round from the very beginning due to their entry attempts that have been made onto the second floor. Far too many players being lost inside of that skirmish due to the kind of hard counter from the previous round. Now it's SSG with the very solid trade setup that XSET just realistically could not work their way past. And although they make a good attempt inside of the 2v4, bringing a little bit closer than we might have expected it to be, SSG was ultimately in control of the situation once they brought it down to that last member of XSET.
Yeah, I mean, even in that situation, SSG, I think throughout was still in full control, even past that kill. I mean, I don't really think there's any way that XSET works out that situation based off of SSG's positioning. You're asking for quite a bit there, but either way, for XSET, a very confident clear or attempt to clear of the top floor would probably be a better way to put it. SSG immediately delivering, though. They know where the entry points are from XSET. They take the gunfights very quickly, and then past that, XSET just kind of goes chasing. They go hunting, trying to find an advantage on that top floor. We could see that the Thermite was like, well, I guess I got to try and help out in this situation. I'll try and get the entry in from square, but SSG had a beautiful setup for that. Yeti playing the elevator hallway. They also have the smoke inside of Janitor, and they shut him down, but obviously the smoke gets traded out. But given the situation for SSG, it's just so very easy for them to play out that latter half, given the circumstances of the man count.
More so than anything, I think XSET executing in that previous round with way less drone intel than they had back on the actual second floor attack on round two, and that kind of may give them a little bit of a sense of false confidence, maybe that they could have cleared it out without needing as much. Obviously came back to bite them towards the end of the round. Gomez!
Gomez.
I think a little bit late for this, unfortunately. There were players from SSG scrambling around here a few seconds prior, but Gomez has arrived just a little bit too late to actually catch any of them.
I don't know why, but his body language for a split second was telling me he was just bailing in the window. And I was like, no, we just visited this chapter. Why are we going back so fast? Oh, well, it's actually going to be SSG again with the lead off pick here. They've been able to manage this for 3 out of the 4 rounds that we've witnessed thus far. XSET able to stumble into one, and seeing if they could potentially do that with a round after losing Yogg, who's had a pretty solid game so far.
SSG continues to maintain an advantage, and as well, a little bit of an aggressive stance, as you can see from at least one of their players, of course, out on the first floor. More than likely going to be calling themselves back down that hatch as soon as they see a bullet or two sent their way, just because of the fact that they had been revealed by that drone. But for the time being, we do still have Rampy up on top. Probably going to try to do a fadeaway shot. Never mind, though. Hit the 130 mark. That's his fallback point, so he is going to commit to it full and well right there. Bosco can take up the mantle of aggression right now. There is going to be pressure from XSET going down blue, of course, as he still maintains presence just outside of that staircase.
Okay, so XSET at least have one hatch open here. Or actually, no, they don't even have a hatch open. I was honestly considering the soft breach that we just saw on the castle barricade up top, but they still have quite a bit of work to do. DS will begin that. Kino more than likely going to get one hatch and then try and get the wall down low here inside of server. That seems to be the best means of attack for XSET at the current moment. Still got some solid drones to be able to figure out the site setup, at least at the current time, so that'll help them in clearing things out and avoiding things like this. Yeti prone with a nitro cell here. I don't know if they have the hatch open for small office upstairs just yet, but speaking of open hatches, Hot and Cold has quite the placement. He's going to get tagged up, and Gomez going to overswing into that situation, but fortunately enough, Spirits will take down Fultz, keeping them in the race, but they've been quartered right into the elevator, and there's no other way out of this, John. There's only one character in the whole game that can jump up hatches, but fortunately enough, they do still have smoke grenades.
Nice.
Gonna pop on through Hot and Cold to be able to clean up one. They'll drop down on top of him, and Yeti actually gonna take down his own teammate. It's all down to Diaz with this bearing 9 up against 2 with minimal time. He has to get this plant down. He'll get Spirits up, and he's gonna immediately plant, John. He's gonna hop in and hope that Spirits can hold this. You're damn right he can. Yeti's gonna hop in right behind, though, because, well, it's hard to hear sometimes in those critical moments, and he'll get the big pick. SSG, stave off a plant and pick up another round.
Respect for going for the res in the minimal time scenario. There absolutely needed some form of support inside of the plant situation, though, so got to respect that move coming out from XSET, but ultimately nowhere near enough control inside of the basement. Only really had that elevator lobby under their control, and even then, the second they stepped outside of it, SSG was ready to pinch it. Beautiful play from Hot and Cold. You're now seeing on the replay here as well. Had to constantly work against both the hatch angle as well as the pressure coming at him from elevator. Ultimately succumbed to the flank pressure coming down that hatch, of course, but was able to hold them back for a critical amount of time, and was the player that dropped the case, which was ultimately, at least for me, the final nail in the coffin that slowed down momentum too much from XSET for them to realistically recover on that execute.
Yeah, it always seemed like XSET was trying to get rope back rather than figure the situation out for themselves at an equal point of view. It was a very difficult round across the board, but I mean, going into the future, I'm just hoping that XSET can do a little bit more with this unadulterated aggression, because really what we're seeing right now is just the confidence of XSET, and I really like it when we see players with confidence, with some gusto, but right now it's not working out for them. There's some critical errors that are happening that are giving advantages over to SSG that just really shouldn't be there, like that hatch drop we see with Hot and Cold. You want a little bit more utility or some more pressure coming from somewhere else to draw his attention more, especially since, I mean, the majority of XSET's assault was coming from that direction. I mean, it's asking a lot for SSG to just have Hot and Cold manage an elevator and that hatch drop all at the same time. So obviously SSG is still going to have some other lines of sight playing into that situation. So I think it was a little bit of a misread there from XSET, just expecting SSG to make some missteps in that process. But I mean, they still have quite a few rounds here on the offensive side to right these wrongs and at least guarantee a 2-4 here going into their defensive side.
XSET is going to be happy about the sites that they're returning to specifically here for round 5, as we're going to be heading back up to the second floor again. This was where they were able to ultimately overwhelm SSG's defense without even ever really having to directly contest against it as well. Kind of just showed them a face on the rappel. As Stokes mentioned, 4 players committed to the Overwatch up here. And as such, SSG had no choice but to really respect it. Were forced to back up and away from the positions that they were maintaining. And that allowed for far too much room, letting XSET into the building on those swings, and then a plant to follow it.
Very well done from Kino there. I believe he was cleaning up a evil eye, so no longer have any vision over those windows. It's easily accessible from the likes of Bosco or the rest of his team, but obviously Bosco the only one that's able to use lasers off of those evil eyes. And he is going to pre-place a Nitro Cell downstairs, and they'll be able to play this off audio up top. Repels are very, very easy to hear when they're swinging in. It's got a very distinct sound, so we'll see how this works out. But Bosco's no longer there, so this might go really, really wrong. Nitro Cell, nope, nobody home. Gomez is going to die, though, to Hot and Cold. The Nitro Cell does barely anything to Spirits unless he got tagged by a bullet. So unfortunate circumstances befall SSG, but they've at least slowed down XSET's assault.
Spirits, of course, on the Nook. So a perfect operator to sneak in this situation here. Help presence activator as well is potentially going to help out XSET with the remaining portion of this clear, but Spirits needs the confidence to move past his current position. Finally going to find it here. Tries to go for the cross. Fultz has spotted it, though. Sneaks off even more damage onto Spirits himself, and finally Rampy catches Spirits just when he goes looking to knock out some utility. XSET have lost now, as far as I'm aware, the only player that actually got in on that repel from the play previously. Houghton did just get downed, however. The members of XSET are not necessarily going to be aware of that unless they were able to see him drop through the hole that was made into J. Hot and Cold more than likely can be recovered. Obviously at low HP, but we'll still leave it in a 4v3 advantage for SSG. Good timing on the swing from Fultz as well. They're down at least one more member of the squad. Never mind, doesn't actually get fully down, but Rampy moves in for the finishing blow. Takes out Kino, another one for him as well, and Fultz to finally finish it off with a consistent hold from the back of J.
Gorgeous round there from Space Station. What a way to cap it off from Rampy there as well. Hops out the window, picks up the sniper wielder, backs off the angle, reapproaches as he knows XSET's going to be swinging through the windows and more than likely attempting to predict him in this position. I was going to love that. As you can see, just redoubles there, able to take down that last member. And now XSET, oh my, 3 rounds down to SSG. And not only that, John, you heard him on the analyst desk. This is one of our best attacking teams in the entirety of the NAL. And they're getting decimated on a map like Bank.
No pause either.
No pause, no timeout.
XSET still has confidence in their playstyle at this point. Can't blame them because the rounds have been like competitive at least for the most part.
I mean, they do exude confidence constantly as well. I mean, XSET for a very, very long time has always been that team that has called upon the name of playing as friends and being very friendly and just having that confidence as a squad, taking the losses as a squad. So there's no reason to not be confident, you'd think.
You can see there are major qualification standings as we are in the last few play days of the NAL at the moment here just today, and one more next week is all that remains, ladies and gentlemen. So we're getting very close to finding out who is going to be heading, of course, to the major in Jönköping. We're going to say that very slowly so everybody can get used to the pronunciation. I know it's very difficult.
Thank you. Thank you. for me to you. Thank you.
So yeah, the Jönköping major, as it was announced this morning, of course, we're going to be having lots of fun there in just a few weeks' time. But we need to figure out who is going there, of course. SSG, if they close out on this matchup with the way things are currently going in regulation, they will have a 97% chance to make it there, pending the result, of course, of their last match and the way the rest of the NAL's remaining matches play out.
Now, the first time I saw that name, the Irishman in me got so confused. I was lost. I was like, there's dots? Like, what's going on here?
It's that first J that really throws you off. You got to pronounce it as a Y for some reason.
Absolutely. Now, for XSET, one more attempt to be able to enter Bank and get something out of this stone. Barely been able to make it bleed so far. SSG has been a rock. Super, super difficult to try and crack thus far, and they're trying to continue this. They've got nitro cells abound on the mid floor that could be a huge detriment to this top floor clear of XSET. And let me guess, it's Yeti, isn't it? It is indeed. It is Yeti on the Thorn. He's going to be crept up under one of the ticket desks, seeing if XSET knows how to drone. Oh, they do.
So he's going to be found out. Dashing away, and he still manages to get Yogg on the cross. Yes! The fadeaway shot from Yeti to still claim a frag, even though he was caught red-handed under the table. Houghton also claims a second frag. Pretty sure that was him on the inside of Archives right there. That's where he's going to be able to find that one. Gomez, as well as his 2 remaining teammates now, having to try and make up for this as they just cannot seem to get ahead at the beginning of this round. Even the pickup from Spirits isn't for free as he takes a little bit of fire back from Houghton, who's still hot on the inside of Archives here, looking to fend off the rest of this assault.
XSET still with an opportunity. Felt like I've had to say that a lot this half. They've been playing from the downward position for the majority of this, always down in the man count. But as we know about XSET, they do not shy away from a gunfight, but they have to worry about these bold crosses from Space Station, like this rotation here that we just saw inside the office. Rampy still standing tall inside of open area. Spirits going hunting down the stairwell, but he can't find anything either. SSG is a ghost. They're punching at air right now. Gomez, he's creeping along. Nice shots from Hot and Cold will meet Gomez's demise as XSET, they're trying to creep in. Do they see the laser of Rampy? It's a shot, and oh, XSET, 2 huge kills. They've opened the floodgates. There's an opportunity here, but now it's down to a 1 versus 1. Hot and Cold with a beautiful nitro cell. He's got to rotate. Look at this timer as well. Where's the case? It's all the way upstairs. Oh, Spirits.
SSG know that, though.
Have to make the rotation. Hot and Cold will gun him down, and it was actually Spirits, the one downstairs. I thought it was Hot and Cold that dropped through the hatch there for a moment. But either way, Spacestation Gaming getting away with gold there. 5-1 over XSET on their defensive side. And just look at this right here. Yeti stays inside of Ticket. He stays there the entire time, John. He's sipping tea in their hood. And he's like, hey, what's up, Buttercup? Takes him out, dips down to the mid-floor. You'll love to see it.
It's like, oh, I've been revealed. Let me reveal someone's skull real quick on the way out of here. Nicely played by Yeti. And overall, nicely played by the SSG
you know
roster.
What the X stands for in MPX?
What?
Express delivery.
All right. So SSG with pretty much nearly a perfect half for themselves. Obviously, the double 7-0 would have been great to see here, especially against XSET, bouncing off of their matchup yesterday, of course, but XSET is able to claim at least that 1 second floor round. SSG can still very much go for a shutdown here, as they are on the winning train right now. It does not seem like XSET has a lot of control over the break, so we'll have to see if switching over to the defensive side has potentially changed up that scope at all. Lots of delay, lots of very important utility coming out on XSET's operator lineup for their first basement hold here. The most notable ones, of course, going to once again be that Warden trying to fight on the inside of Chaos here, especially if we see Hot and Cold smokes get deployed at a late point in the round. And, of course, Yaga on the Goyo canisters to delay once SSG hopefully reach the basement.
Yep, XSET more than likely flustered after that problematic offensive half, but now they have the chance to rage against the machine of SSG, taking it to them on their defensive side where they could probably feel a lot more at home. They could set up the building, commit to their own roam game, and just try and play off of each other in a better light. So we'll see if it works out for them. But for Space Station, as expected, we'll slow off rip, but finally we get some semblance of this push, at least from an entry point. It'll be Fultz at the top of square.
Very, very quiet first round from both SSG and XSET. Neither team wanting to make a mistake, but it's SSG in control of the momentum at the moment with them on the attacking side. Twitch drone is going to be taken out as it sneaks down blue, but it does obviously reveal Spirit's intentions on the inside of here. If they caught it quickly enough, they'll know he's on the shotgun too and probably bring some extra caution when it comes to clearing that position out. Yaga's spot, of course, will now be revealed on top of the hatch, and they'll work on trying to flush him down pretty quickly here. As you can see, Hotton starting to work over towards that copy window to very much complete the task. And indeed, not even going to need to hop in to do that. Yaga's just going to give it up, I think, on timer here as we just hit the 140 mark.
Yeah, XSET not trying to hand over too many bodies on this mid-floor roam. It was mostly there just to delay SSG's clear and make sure that they had to deal with this execute at a low timer. Going to be getting rid of some drones over here inside of blue. We'll see if Spirits wants to stick around there. I think he does, just based off of what gun he's using. That's definitely a play out my life type of weapon rather than a, hey, I'm going to go try and play deep in sight and play some angles type of weapon. So we'll see how it works out with the shoddy Bugatti for the Jaeger. And, well, initially it's going to go Fultz's way and SSG's overall. Yeah, onto the smoke. That's exactly the opposite of what you want to happen. Kino goes down, and he has not been having a great game. 0-6-1 at the moment.
So that deletes the only active delay utility that XSET were bringing to the table here. The Goyo canister is obviously alive and well, as is the overall setup inside of blue. On top of that, of course, we haven't even talked about any of the yokai drones that can come out here. Hot and Cold, though, sniping out Spirits here, eliminating him from contention. That has cleared out most of the security hold that we were going to see. SSG really just have to contend against that utility setup that I mentioned at the beginning of the round. Now that's really the only thing that can trip them up here. If they try to execute too low of a time and they're not able to spot out things like the yokai drone, yeah, they could run into problems here. Same with the aggressive setup that we currently have, but that's not going to be too much of a problem. Already made up for. Diaz also trades that back against Rampy. Plant going down regardless, though, from Bosco. Curious as to where specifically it's gone down at. Looks like we see it now, though, on the depths of the inside of CCTV. One of the two remaining players from XSET already going down as Gomez has been dropped, thankfully, in the gold bar vault. So Diaz will be able to recover his fallen teammate, but how exactly do they get out and retake the site now is the big question, as this is a very one-dimensional play for XSET at this point.
This has been one of the harshest thrashings of XSET I have seen since we have seen this representation of the roster. We're going to wake up a little bit here in the clutch. It is a 2 versus 2, but it's going to be so easily fought from Fultz. Fantastic positioning on the hatch here for Red Hallway. SSG up 6-1 against XSET. I mean, that's something you might hear me say in 2021, not 2022, John.
It always just seems like SSG like really comes together towards the end of a year. You know what I'm saying? Like they always just look like really good at the end of an NAL season.
Dog in him, man. Lycan's got that dog in him.
Doesn't matter the roster.
Never failed. I'm telling you.
Doesn't matter the players. SSG always looks really solid as a squad in the last few playdays of the year. It's like it's been the last like 3 to 4 years. They even go back to like 2019, I think it was.
Yeah.
Right before they made the SI run to win with that when the Canadian first joined up. Like they look great right if they made that change. I think if I remember correctly, they like won or got second place at the USN LAN or something like that year as well. Just it's one of those like time is a flat circle examples. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. Time is a flat. I love that commercial so much. Where's your Lincoln, John?
I'll have to update you in a few weeks on that.
Yeah, we'll have to find out. It's going to be a tactical timeout here from XSET. You've been asking for this for some time, and to call it when SSG is moments away from not only beating you, but destroying you on Bank, a map that usually tends to lean to the offensive favor, where XSET have been quite dominant. It's been an interesting event, to say the least.
All right, let's see if SSG can complete the set. Like we said, the perfect 7-0, 2 games in a row. Not happening, obviously. XSET dashed that dream pretty quickly, but still a 7-0 followed up by a 7-1 is certainly going to make any of SSG's remaining opponents, all one of them, very fearful about going up against them on our final Playday coming up next week.
Oh, we're going for it. I love everything about this from SSG. We've got the Gara hook here from Bosco. Now, John, I want to teleport you back to, I do believe, stage 1. Do you remember this guy named Yard Dog, Yardy, Drip, Boolin, DBK?
Sure.
I don't know what he goes by nowadays. He's got so many monikers, it's hard to wrap your head around. But there's this roster called beastcoast, and they did this like Gara hook thing this one time where they like flew through a hatch and then planted an open area. It'd be really weird if that happened again, but this time around it was this guy named Bosco.
And he's coming in through the basement. So. However, yeah, as our observer is now pointing out, we do have 2 hatches sitting right over here inside a small office in the main office area. So if his teammates get into position, this could be a very quick plant attempt from Bosco.
Oh, he's made it.
We will have to wait and see, though, because like I said, this very much relies. There's no way he's just gonna do this on his own. Oh, hold on, we got his teammates coming down.
Rampy. Now, Rampy has to kill somebody.
The timing.
If Rampy kills somebody, this is going. Oh, Bosco's already in.
He's already
They're
up.
gonna kill Bosco.
Oh no, he missed the kill.
Oh no, that's what they needed right there. But it's still a 3 versus 3. Rampy's got nades out. They know where 2 of them are based off of the EE1D. Yeti's gonna take one down. The case is now in Yeti's hands, and he's gonna start the plant. I have no idea, John, but we still have to cast it, don't we? Yeti, he's gonna get off the plant to try and assist with the gunfights instead. Gonna pop another EE1D, force them to stand still. They'll know at least where I do believe Gomez is, but slowing down now. Rampy and the rest of SSG have been able to box XSET out of their own site, and I do believe Yeti dropped down the hatch. So now they have to actually try and regather themselves to attempt a plant.
I think this is where SSG may have overplayed their hand, though. I'm not sure if they have good intel as to Gomez's position. Oh, they've got to be careful to cross in archives. And yeah, as you said, he's allowed to route back around. The flank fails, but Yeti is somehow allowed past the cross setup that XSET had back into the site. Plant's going to go down, though. They've secured it, and the timer is officially ticking against XSET's favor. They've got to work themselves back into it. At the moment, playing it together, both from Beeper's side as well. So once again, could be a very one-dimensional play, but he'll be forced out because of the Nitro cell, but it won't matter. Rampy as well as Yeti shut it down, and it's a second nearly flawless game from SSG after 7-0ing their opponent yesterday. They 7-1 XSET here today. Beautifully done by SSG. Hasn't fully punched their ticket to the major just yet, but they're nearly there with a 97% qualification chance after this win.
Oh my, Space Station Gaming. But I gotta tell you, I gotta give this up to Hot and Cold and Yeti. This was the best game that we saw from Hot and Cold the entire stage so far. 10 kills for him, but backed up with some amazing pressure across the board from Space Station. XSET were sent for a whirlwind of bank. They could not find their footing and were decimated because of it.
Beautiful, beautiful play from start to finish from SSG. Barely a mistake made along the way. And once again, Yeti, as you mentioned there,